What's up YouTube, Justin Fuller here, and today I am hopping outside of a 2022 Honda Pilot Black Edition. This is every bell, every whistle, everything that you could get inside of this car. So let's hop on in, take a look at what the car has to offer and how it stacks up against the competition. All right, guys, so we're here at the front of the car, and I want to talk to you about what it has underneath the hood. So I'm going to pull you on in and talk about this. You're looking at a 3.5-liter V6 engine. This is putting out 280 horsepower, running to a 9-speed transmission, then transferring out to these 20-inch wheels that you'll see right here. Now, underneath the hood, you've got a lot of plastic. So it is kind of a clean, nice look. However, if you're looking to get to a couple things, I'll point it out and explain. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So I've got a fuse box sitting right here, and then of course I have fluids here. As I come across, my air box is right here. Now below my air box is where you're gonna find the terminals, your batteries. So if you ever need to get to those, you are gonna have to take this off through this rubber grommet. I have air running right here, and then a CPU sitting right here, and then once again, fluids right here. Now, they have left some extra space down there, so I could run additional lines if I wanted to, but as you can see, my one big point out here is that I gotta remove this just to jump my battery or to help jump somebody else's, so kind of a pain in the butt to do. So before we leave the front end of this car, I want to talk to you about a couple things. The first being a horsepower comparison. So like I said, this car gets 280 horsepower out of this 3.5-liter V6 engine. I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how this car stacks up to some of the other vehicles out there in the market. So I'll throw that up on the screen while you can check that out. Now, while that's up on the screen, I will remind you, this same engine is what you'll find in the Passport. It's what you'll find in the truck, the Ridgeline. It's what you'll find in the minivan, the Odyssey. So this is gonna be a tried and true tested engine that you're gonna find in quite a few of the vehicles. So every V6 on the lot is the exact same when it comes to Honda. All right, guys, so while we're at the front of this car, let's talk about miles per gallon. This car gets 19 in the city and 26 on the highway. So I'm gonna throw a comparison up on the screen so you can see how this car stacks up to other vehicles out there in the market. Now, after you've taken a look at that, let's keep on moving. All right, guys, so before we start the full walk around, I want to go over a couple things with you. So on the Black Edition, even though this car is white, which is a little weird in itself, you're going to gain things like, black trim, black interior with red stitching, red ambient lighting. It's really not any different from the Elite model that you would find right below it. However, it's $1,500 more expensive. So if you're considering that model, I just want you to understand, so I'll throw it up on the screen so you can see, hey, what am I gaining if I get this Black Edition? It's really just trim, right? So I want you to make sure you understand that. Now, from the Elite, you could then drop down and even another model and save additional cash. Now, if that's something you're interested in, I'll show you that as well. So I'll throw that up on the screen so you can understand, hey, if I go from the Elite, because I don't care about the, the black trim, and I want to drop down to that very next model, what all am I giving up and how much money am I saving? So hopefully you can get a strong understanding of that so we can start the walk around. All right, guys, so as we come in on the car, the first thing I want to point out is, of course, you have these 20-inch black alloy wheels. So a nice clean look surrounded by some black plastic, and you can see running along the side, I do have a body side molding kit. Right now, this is a pearlized white version you can see with the tin. I got smart key entry, so I can put my hand in, it'll unlock for me, or I can lock the doors and walk away, right? So very easy to control the car when it comes to that. Now, moving into the mirrors, they are breakaway, they will throw down when you throw it in reverse, and they do have turn indicators in them, so a lot going on with your mirrors, and they are heated as well. So we wrap around the front. You got a full LED setup on this car, so LED daytime running lights, headlights, and fog lights down low. So you can see that. As we come across, you can see I have the honeycomb down below. Come up, I have the license plate bracket, and then I have my emblem, and of course it is badged with Black Edition. So let's keep on moving up forward. I'll point out that you can see a trapezoid area cut out up there on the screen. That's gonna be for part of your Honda sensing suite, and then down below, you do have a radar in the grille behind here that you can't see. Now, those are gonna act with a couple different features here. The first being collision mitigation, braking, meaning if it's gonna hit another car from behind, it can actually first alert me and then apply the brakes to help prevent the accident. So a really cool feature. Now, using that trapezoid up top is for lane keep assist. And road departure mitigation, I should say. So lane keep assist, if I turn it on, it'll pick up the lines on the road and keep me center. So if I drift to left or right, it'll actually keep me in my lane. Now, road departure mitigation is set up to where if I start to drift off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert and shake the wheel. It'll say, hey, wake up, pay attention. So maybe you're getting a little drowsy, right? That sort of thing. Now, as we come up top, I will point out that you do have a moonroof on this vehicle. And then back behind it, I've got that secondary panoramic moonroof as well. And then I do have black as far as my roof rails running along this car. Now, the back half of this car comes tinted from the manufacturer, so you don't have to worry about that. The front windows will typically be tinted at the dealership, depending on what state it is and what they allow as far as percentages go, right? So let's keep wrapping around to the back of this car real quick here. As we come around the back end, of course, got LED setup once again, LED indicators with a nice little spoiler system on the back. You see my antenna up top. As we come down, I've got my emblem. And then, of course, I've got Black Edition badging right here with all-wheel drive. This vehicle only is offered in all-wheel drive, so just a heads up. Now, your tailgate is, you can see this huge sticker here. If I have the key in my pocket, I can throw my foot underneath, and it will pop it open for me. So it is a hands-free tailgate with the sensor system set up inside of it. So nice to know. Let's talk about the back end. All right, guys, so here we are at the back end of this vehicle, and we're gonna go over some cargo dimensions and just show you kind of how things work back here, right? So let me pull you on in here and show you a couple things. The first being is that I have cargo space back here just in general, so I'm gonna throw up what that spacing is so you can get an understanding for that. Now, while that's said, I will show you that you do have either hidden storage down here, or I can drop this down in if I want to create a little bit deeper storage. Now, on top of that, this is, carpeted right here. I can flip this over and use that plastic side as well. So if I had maybe a cooler or something that was getting wet back there, I could flip it around and go this route if I wanted to, right? So easy enough to understand how the cargo space works. Now, as far as throwing your back seats down, pretty easy to do. Pull your tabs and these will lay down for you, right? So while I'm pulling these down and laying them down, I will point out also that you have your tethers and anchors as far as getting car seats set up in the back of this vehicle as well, right? So I could leave this as is, or I could make this flush if I want everything to be nice and flat because I need to load up something nice and big in the back. Maybe I just bought a new TV. I don't know, whatever it may be, right? So, and then of course you can see right up here, I'm gonna come around here and I'll show that you can fold those seats down as well. So we'll pop this door open when I'm reaching back here, right? So I can throw these up and that would be how I do that. But if I wanna throw them down, I can fold them down to create even more space. So if I needed that additional space as far as cargo space. Now, as we wrap back around, I'll also point out that if you have this folded down, what the cargo space dimensions are, and then if we take this all the way up to that very front row, what are those cargo dimensions as well? Now, while we're in this, I will point out that the Elite and the Black Edition offer captain seats right here. So if you're looking for that bar seat, you're gonna have to drop down a couple trim levels to get that bar seat in the middle. So just be aware of it. So it's one thing to have a third row, it's another to actually be able to physically use it. So I kind of want to show you what that looks like as far as climbing through and getting in if you're a larger person. So me, myself, 250, 6 foot, let's climb in here and kind of show you what this looks like. So I'm gonna spin you around and show you what I would have to do. Now, I would come in here and I could kneel on this, but I gotta step over this. So it's a little bit awkward in that sense that I gotta climb through and get back here. Now, I will show you that the floor is a little bit raised here. So if I have the seat all the way pushed back, as a 6-footer, I can still fit here, right? So not too bad in general as far as a third row goes. There's a lot of third rows out there that don't have much space. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a comparison up on the screen so you can see how this car stacks up to some of those other vehicles out there in the market to understand, is this a legitimate third row? Can I use this? Could I take a long road trip on it? I could. If I slid this seat up, which you can absolutely do, it would make it not that bad. But I would probably prefer to put someone smaller back here if I can, and putting 3 back here, let's be honest, that's ridiculous. 2 at best, okay? So while I'm sitting back here, I will point out that of course you have cup holders. I do have air vents back here. To throw those seats forward, all I gotta do is press this button and it slides them forward, right? So they could climb in through this way if they prefer, but honestly, I think it's easier just to climb through that way. So you do have an additional way to climb in and out of the vehicle, but it creates not that much space to get your legs in and out of. Now, as you come across the other side, same thing. I've got, my cup holders, my air vents, and then of course I have tie downs for the back inside of the vehicle here as well, just so you can see them. And then of course, check out my sweet jean shorts. All right, guys, so here I am in the second row of this vehicle, and it is considerably more comfortable, right? My legs have a little bit further to drop as far as, sitting there, and I have some additional leg space. So as a larger passenger riding in the second row, obviously gonna be a little bit more comfortable than being in that third row, but you could do it if you're just going around the corner to maybe pick up some food. But if it's a 17-hour road trip, maybe not so much, right? So the first thing I want to do is, of course, talk about a comparison as far as second row leg space to other vehicles out there in the market. So I'm gonna throw that up on the screen so you can understand how does this car stack up to those other vehicles out there in the market. Now, after you've taken a look at that, let's just kind of look around and talk about what's around me, right? So I'm gonna grab the fear and we'll go through this, right? So the first thing I'll point out is, of course, I have cup holders, I have additional storage. I do have some sunshades, so if I need to create additional space, I've got it on both sides, right? As I'm looking down in the middle, I do have that space here with a rubber, kind of finish to it. Additional cup holders here. As I look down, I've got spots to not only plug in some wired headphones, the car also comes with 2 additional headphones that are wireless. I've got a power outlet that I can use here, 2 USBs, controls as far as the AC unit in the back, so I can turn that down. And then I do have heated seats in the front and back of this car in the Black Edition and the Elite. So just something to be aware of. Now, as I move up, I've got some pockets on both sides, so way to go, Honda. You didn't skimp out on that one. And then as we move up, I've got my screen right here that I can show a few different apps and different things on. So whether I want to use it for Blu-rays, whether I want to, plug maybe a gaming system or something into it, I do have an HDMI input, so there are some other options I could use this for as well. And then of course it works as a DVD player and of course a CD player. So if you're still holding on to those CDs from years and years ago, you could listen to them in this vehicle. All right, so let's hop up into the front and talk about the car. All right, guys, so here we are in the front seat of this 2022 Honda Pilot Black Edition. So, of course, I want to talk about leg space up here. So I'm going to throw that on the screen so you can see how this car stacks up to other, of course, SUVs out there in the market so you can really understand, hey, am I losing or gaining anything that might be notable if I'm a bigger guy or just prefer the extra space, right? Now, as you look at that, or I say after we look at that, let's kind of spin around here and talk about what you're going to see here. So the first thing I want to point out is, of course, it is badged Black Edition right here. And then I do have red stitching that's going to run along this black perforated leather. So it does give off a certain look, and you'll see it over here on the doors as well, right? So when you're getting that Black Edition, this is part of what you're paying for, is this aesthetic look to it. Now, the rest of the dash that you're going to see is going to be exactly how an Elite would look, or even the trim below that, right? So not a lot has changed there. Now, of course, down here in the center, I've got, center cup holder. Here's where my wireless headphones are. And then, of course, I do have a controller to use for my my deal back here as far as my Blu-ray player. Now, up on the front of this dash, I will point out a couple different things here. Of course, my AC controls, I can control left, right, and rear, and then, of course, I can lock the rear. So if you got little hands back there playing, know that you can control that. Up front, I've got cooling seats and heating seats, right? And I can run them both at the same time. So I got a heated seat on one side and a cooled seat. So know that up front you have heated and cooled seats. And I do have a phone charger up here. Phone charger, it's like most. If you got a huge case on it, is it going to work? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So just be aware of that. It's not one of those, hey, it's going to work with every case no matter what. If you have the biggest OtterBox known to man or whatever it may be, a life-proof case or whatever it is. Of course, I have a power outlet right here and then a USB. And you'll see it has the phone on it to let you know it runs with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. So just something to be aware of. And then down inside of here, I have an additional USB and then a power outlet as well. So let's talk about the dash layout of this car. All right, so let's talk about what's on the left side over here and we'll work our way across. So the first thing is this car does have parking sensors on the front and back end of the vehicle, right? So easy enough, it'll start beeping as you throw the car in reverse if you're getting close to something. Of course, this is my road departure mitigation. We talked about that earlier. If I'm starting to go off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert and start to shake the wheel. Above that, collision mitigation braking, we talked about that as well. If it's looking like I'm gonna hit another car, it'll give me an audible alert, it'll give me a visual alert, and then apply the brakes to help prevent that accident from happening. Vehicle stability assist works with your traction control. So in the event that it's looking, you go into a skid, it'll transfer power to whichever wheel is getting better traction in the vehicle. As we come up, I'll talk about your mirrors. Of course, your controls here, right? I can go left and right. If I have it clicked all the way to the left and I throw it in reverse, you'll see that it will throw the mirror down for me. I can switch over to the right side and do that, or I can put it right in the center and it won't do it with either one. If you want to fold your mirrors in, they do fold on this car. That's what this button is for here. Press that and it'll fold your mirrors in. So know that you have that option available in case you have a nice tight garage that you're trying to park this car inside of. Now, Econ button over here is going to improve gas mileage of the car. Whenever I press this button, you're going to see a little green leaf come on right there. And it'll, of course, indicate you on the screen as well. So when I press it, you'll see that indicator right there. Now, this is going to improve the gas mileage of the car, but in doing so, it's going to shut down some of the electrical systems affecting things like the AC unit and the accelerator. So know that you're not going to take off and go quite as fast. While I'm down there, check out those Jordans. Nice. Leave a comment if you like them. Why not? Now, as we come across to the steering wheel, let's talk about a couple different features. Not a ton of buttons and knobs up here, so I like this a little bit cleaner display. Sometimes you get a new car and you're like, man, there's like 84 things on here that I cannot learn that quick. So left side is going to be everything in the menu and your audio, right? Right side is going to be some additional Honda sensing buttons. So on the left side, my Bluetooth controls, answer a call, hang up a call, use voice commands for your calls or for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So I could ask Siri to do something, I could ask Google to do something. So kind of cool that you can use that. My home button affects this menu, the screen that you see right up here, right? And then I can toggle through all these different screens and how I'm doing so, pressing that button right there so you can understand, right? So let's just talk about what's in this menu screen real quick here. As far as hiding apps, trip computer, all-wheel torque, so it'll show you which way it's driving in. If you're not familiar with all-wheel drive, it's going to drive in two-wheel drive mode until it needs to switch to all-wheel drive, and it'll do it automatically. So that's how all-wheel drive mode works. Phone, exactly what you'd think. This car is set up with navigation. If I don't have turn-by-turn directions currently running, it'll show me a compass right there, so nice to know. It is set up through Garmin. You can also connect up your phone and use Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, whatever you prefer, so be aware of that as well. Coming down a little bit further, I've got, now playing, it'll just show me anything that I might be listening to audio-wise. So if I had this turned on, yeah, whether it be the radio or whatever it may be, it's going to display that right there. So as I keep coming on down here, one past that, maintenance, oil life, and tire pressure. Tire pressure I like. It shows you what the tire pressure is per tire, so you're not out there guessing with a tire gauge, because let's be honest, that just sucks. And then oil life, when you get down to 15%, it'll give you an audible alert and a visual alert to let you know. And then settings, if I want to come in and play turn the tack on and off, arrange apps if I want to put them in different order. So easy enough to understand this menu screen that you're seeing me as I play through here right now. So that's pretty much this side, and then my volume controls, right? Easy enough to understand. Over here on the right side, of course, I have my heated steering wheel controls. So know that's part of getting an Elite or a Black Edition. So nice to know that you have that already built into the car. And then of course, I'm going to use the main button first to turn on both these features, and that's going to stand for ACC, which is Adaptive Cruise Control, and LKAS, which is Lane Keep Assist, right? So let's talk about Lane Keep Assist first, just because that button is right here. When I press that button, it will turn on this. Now, what it's using is where I saw that trapezoid earlier cut out, it's detecting the lines on the road. So if I drift a little bit to the left or the right, it'll keep me centered. So once this is filled in solid, which will do when you're going over 45 and it's picked up those lines, if you drift to the left or right, you'll just feel it pull a little bit back to keep you centered. So nothing abrasive, nothing that you can't overpower. That's just what this feature is and how it works. Now, the second one is your adaptive cruise control, which is classic cruise control. But when I get to speed, I press set, it holds my speed. Where it says ACC off, it say the speed, and then it'll keep the distance that I designate with that box of buttons right there, right? So what you're seeing me press right there, the more boxes, the more space it's keeping. And the way it's doing that is it's bouncing that radar that's in the front of the grill off the car in front of me and detecting that amount of distance. So if they're going, 65 and they slow down to 55, it keeps that space when I get out from behind them. It then takes me back up to the speed that I've designated. If you want to, change that to just classic cruise because you're like, I don't want to mess with all that, just press and hold this button. And it'll flip and say cruise mode selected, press and hold again. ACC mode collected, right? So easy enough to use. Now, this car does have a 9-speed transmission. I will point out that you do have paddle shifters on this car, so I can upshift and downshift the car, on my own. So it just gives you a little bit more control over the performance of the vehicle in case you want to take off and get going a little bit faster, or you just enjoy shifting through it because it makes you feel a more active driver. Now, on the other side here, I have my auto on-off headlights and my fog light controls, and then my windshield wipers pull down for the front and to control the back right there. All right, so let's talk about that touchscreen. All right, guys, so here we are on the touchscreen of this vehicle, and I just want to walk you through and show you a couple basic features so that you can understand what it all offers and kind of how it works. So the first thing is being that navigation system we talked about that's built in through Garmin. Of course, I can run a search when I'm in park, or I can use the voice command button, which is over on the steering wheel if I want to search something after the fact. Of course, I can add in things like, going home, save trips, my previous trips, trends and shortcuts. So it's very simple. It's through Garmin. They're pretty good at what they do, let's be honest, right? But a lot of us prefer to use Google Maps or Waze or maybe Apple Maps because that's what we're just, we're used to using. Now, the next one is gonna be your phone. So as far as connecting to a phone, if you've never done so, I'll show you how to do it right now. Press connect phone. On here, I wanna make sure I can pair a device and then hit connect new device. So I wanna show you how easy it is to connect up a phone to this. Hit connect, and then it should prompt me here in a second to say, hey, would you like to connect this phone? Now, it was that easy for me to connect, and then it's gonna prompt me with the options that I wanna allow my phone to connect up and use. So I'm gonna stick to all three, and then, continue, right? So this is gonna allow the car to use all the different options that I have available to me as far as connecting up a phone. So when it comes to that, I don't know, what did that take? 10, 15 seconds at most. Not a very hard thing to do, just so you can understand how fast and easy that is. Now, let's continue on moving here. Now, as far as rear entertainment, of course, I can jump over here and control the apps that I have available to me. So when I'm looking at that, the HDMI input we talked about in the back, the Blu-ray player or CD player, how much further is a really cool app. If you have navigation put in, it'll actually show the kids in the back how much further, and it's kind of a cartoon setup, so kind of a cool idea. So that's rear entertainment, just so you can understand kind of the basic features. And then I had, of course, a couple different apps here as far as, iHeartMedia and Spotify that they can access if you want to give them options to control the music. Now, as we continue on here, FM and AM, I'm not going to touch on both of them, but just show you that, of course, you have them. It's easy to seek through there and tune and do all the different things, so not hard to use. It does offer HD radio stations, so know that you can take advantage of that as well if you're still listening to the radio. Now, as we move across Bluetooth audio, very easy to use. Once you've connected up your phone, obviously it'll give you the option to play anything off of it or a different device. If it's not a phone, maybe it's just an MP3 player, so whatever that may be. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, it is going to require you to plug it in, which is kind of a bummer. I feel like at this point, guys, it should probably be a wireless setup. All right, so if you've never seen how Apple CarPlay or Android Auto work, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So first thing I'm going to do is plug my phone in, which I plugged down there into the dash, right? And I'm going to open it up here because I'm going to need to, because it's going to ask what I like to enable, and then it's going to prompt me, right? So once I've done that, it should allow the app to kind of get open and start running here. And then once it does, I can hit next. Once I've done that, it'll connect up to the car, right? So easy enough to connect the phone up to a car and then get it running. Once I've done that, I can set my phone down. Now you can see I use Google Maps typically, so that's what it pulls up. And then you can see underneath that, it's pulling up my Spotify, right? Because these are the two most common apps that I use, but I have a lot of different options in here: Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, different things that I can use and access. There are plenty of different apps out there that you can access, and it's forever changing, so just know that you can always look it up and see kind of, hey, what's available to me as far as the apps that are going to be available on here. So it's just cool in the sense that I like that I can jump into my mapping systems. It always updates and I don't have to pay extra to update a mapping system. And then my audio, it's something that I'm going to listen to anyways. So why not be able to visually see it, use it, and do it all from right here, and use the voice command button here or over on the steering wheel, right? So that's how Apple CarPlay and Android Auto works, just so you have a general understanding of it. As I scroll across here, trip computer, exactly what it sounds like, showing you current and previous trips. SMS text function will just read text aloud to you. Sirius satellite radio you get for 90 days free, and then afterwards it's up to you if you want to continue it. USBs, I can plug a thumb drive into it and be able to store music. Aux import, that's that 3.5mm jack. That's the old school aux input that you have if you want to plug something in and listen that way. Social playlist is actually kind of cool, but you are going to need to download an app, and it's through Honda. And what it does is it allows you to not only control things like the AC instead of the controls on the car, but it also is going to allow you to do things like add to a playlist, right? So a really cool idea. But know that you're going to need to go download that app as far as through Honda if you want to take advantage of that. It's 100% free. It's just something that you're going to go and need to get, right? So as I move on, AM, you know exactly what that is. System updates, it just needs to connect to Wi-Fi. Hotspot, the car comes with 90 days for free, and then afterwards, I want to say it's 10 to 15 bucks. I want to say depending on what plan you pick and if you're an AT&T partner or if you're not. So just something to be aware of as you're looking through this and considering this vehicle, right? So turning on was a button right over there. Easy enough to understand. Lastly, I can store music to this, where if I plug a thumb drive in, or I believe you can even do it with a CD. It'll allow you to store the music to the car. Clock and wallpaper, exactly what it sounds like. I can put something on the screen here, and I could customize that and add my own image if I wanted to, and then jump all the way back over there. Cabin talk is actually a really cool feature. If they are listening to something in the back, it allows you to talk over the headphones and through speakers. So when it's on, I can talk to them and it'll cut the sound, and that way they'll be able to hear me as I'm going. Now, while I was talking about that, it kind of dawned on me what the name of the app was if you want to use this for the social playlist. It's called Cabin Talk, right? So sorry, I didn't touch on that. Cabin Talk is the app you're going to use if you want to use that social playlist or control some of those additional features in the car. Right now, if you want to move any of these buttons around, know that you absolutely can. All you got to do is press and hold. It'll pull up the screen, and then I can move stuff around, or remove it, add it, hide it, do whatever I want. So it can customize this if I want to get this a little bit more simplistic to what my needs are. When I'm done, just hit done, and then it'll hold them. So now you can see those two have flip-flopped, right? So that's the touchscreen. That's how it works. While we have this pulled up, though, I want to throw it in reverse and kind of show you what it looks like as far as the backup camera, because you do have 3 different views on this camera, of course. I've got wide angle, a normal angle, and then one aimed straight down. So if you do plan to hook a hitch up to this car, it's kind of nice to know that you could back it up to a trailer or anything very easy. Additionally, you do have cross-traffic monitoring. It'll give you an audible alert and show a visual aid on here to let you know if there's something coming from your left or the right. So just a very helpful feature. You can see as I back up, it'll cut the wheel with me, so it is a dynamic guidelines as far as backing up the vehicle. So I just want you to be aware of what that is and, of course, how it works. So as you come back to another car, that solid line is going to be 2.5 feet from your car, so it's good for parallel parking. This is going to be about 6 inches from your car as you get in there, and you can see my parking sensors just came on to alert me, hey, you're backing up to something right there. So just so you understand how this works. All right, guys, so that's the 2022 Honda Pilot Black Edition, right? So very top-end model, you're looking at like $52,260 after that $1,225 fee to ship it on into the US, right? Doesn't matter where it's going, how short, how far. That's what they charge as far as destination goes. All right, so I want to take you back through all the comparisons and then, of course, how it stacks up to some of those other trim levels out there. So I want to start at the front end of the car and talk about horsepower. 280 horsepower coming out of 3.5-liter V6 engine. Throw that up on the screen to see how this car stacks up to other vehicles out there in the market. After that, we talked about miles per gallon. This car gets 19 in the city and 26 on the highway. So understanding how this car stacks up, I will throw that comparison up on the screen as well. As you move into the front of the car, as far as leg space comparison, I'm going to throw that up on the screen so you can understand how this car stacks up to other vehicles out there in the market. Moving same thing, let's go to that second row. You've got a pretty good amount of space there. Check out that leg space comparison. Know that it's quite better than the third row, because after we've done that, what are we doing? We're talking about that third row back there. That third row, really, it seats 3, but let's be honest, it really seats 2. Ideally, you can get back there. It's probably more comfortable than a lot of the other third rows back there, but I wouldn't use it for like a 17-hour road trip or anything like that. So check out that comparison. After that, I just want to talk about cargo space. There's like 3 different versions of cargo space you could look in this. There's with all the seats up, right? Even the third row, what kind of cargo space do I have? So hopefully you can see that comparison of how it stacks up to other cars. Once you lay those down, what does that spacing look like? So another comparison. And then if you fold this second row down and have a good amount of cargo space, what does that look like as well? So a lot of different, ways to interact with the car as far as cargo space. Reminder, if you're in the Black Edition or the Elite Edition, you got that cargo setup, or excuse me, the captain's chair setup. So know that you can't get a bar set up inside of this vehicle in those 2 trim levels. While we're talking about trim levels, I want to revisit that. The Black Edition offers, for 1,500 extra bucks, I'm gonna throw on the screen what all it offers, but it's mainly aesthetics, guys. It's black wheels, black roof rails, black and red stitching, and it says Black Edition on the seats. It's not necessarily anything performance-based or additional features, so know that you could drop down that Elite, save that 1,500 bucks, and essentially get the same car, right? So easy enough to understand. Now, from Elite down to, I believe, the EXL, that's gonna be a little bit different story. So I'm gonna throw that up on the screen too, so you can see how much money am I saving and what is the list of items I am giving up, so that you can understand, hey, if I'm really considering dropping down, what am I really looking at, right? So I just want you to understand that as far as the trim comparisons. After that, I got a couple favors to ask you guys. One, I hope that you'll like this video. Let me know that you like it. Two, if you didn't like it, or if you wish I'd change something or add something, please do leave a comment. So that's part two, right? And then I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel. Let me tell you about new Hondas as they come out. Obviously, you can see on this lot, if you saw anything earlier through the clips, there's not a lot of cars out here right now because new cars are just really strenuously hard to find because of the chip shortage, right? So as cars come in, I would love to share info on them with you. And then four, hey, if you're somewhere, you find yourself in a forum, you're on Facebook, hopefully you'll share this video. Put it out there in the world for me. It does me a favor, it helps my channel, and allows me to continue making these. So I'm asking you for 4 favors. If I can come up with a 5th, I'll throw it up on the screen, but let's be honest, if you like, share, comment, and subscribe, I'm probably gonna be pretty happy. Other than that, appreciate you watching, spending all that time with me, and later, guys!